Have you ever wondered what a cult really is? I think the answer is going to surprise you. You need to forget the scary movies and the sensational headlines for a minute because we're going to look at how these groups actually work. And, most importantly, we'll talk about how you can approach a friend or family member who might be involved in a way that doesn't push them even further away. What's the real difference between a religion and a cult? The problem is that word, cult, it's just so loaded with baggage. It tends to shut down a conversation before it can even begin. To really understand what's going on, we have to find a better, more useful way to talk about it. Instead of getting hung up on those labels, let's look at what the experts actually focus on. Here's a term you might not have heard before, but it's super important: high control group. Researchers and academics prefer this term because it takes judgment out of the equation. It's not about what people believe, it's about the specific methods a group uses to control its members. And that right there is a total game changer, because it shifts our focus from arguing about theology to observing how people are actually being treated. It's not about what the group believes, it's about how they control people. It could be a religious group, sure, but it could also be a political movement, a multi-level marketing company, or even a self-help seminar. The real potential for harm is in that structure of control, not the specific belief system. That's why a group can look totally harmless from the outside, but be incredibly damaging on the inside. Let's break down the specific tactics these groups use to keep their members completely dedicated and, well, in line. This is a really powerful tool for understanding all of this. It's called the BITE model, developed by Stephen Hassan. It breaks down control into 4 key areas. B is for behavior control: what you wear, who you talk to, what media you consume. I is for information control, creating a bubble where only group-approved information gets in. T is for thought control, using loaded language and teaching people to shut down any critical or negative thoughts. And E is for emotion control, using fear, guilt, and shame to manipulate how people feel. The more of these tactics a group uses, the tighter its grip. Have you ever wondered why some groups ask their members to do things that are really difficult, or maybe even a little embarrassing in public? Well, there's a name for that. It's a concept from social psychology called costly signaling. Basically, by making people sacrifice their time, their money, or their social comfort, the group creates this powerful test of loyalty. It's a very real way of proving who's truly all in. And why is this so incredibly effective? Well, for one, it weeds out anyone who isn't 100% committed pretty quickly. But even more important, that shared sacrifice creates this incredibly strong bond between the members who stay. They've all been through the fire together, and that forges this deep us versus them mentality that can be almost impossible to break. Think about door-to-door evangelism for a second. It's the perfect real-world example of costly signaling. You might think all that rejection they face is a downside, but nope, it isn't a bug, it's a feature. Every slammed door reinforces the group's narrative that the outside world is hostile and that the only safe place is with them. It paradoxically makes their commitment even stronger. So knowing all of this, how in the world do you actually talk to someone in one of these groups? Because arguing about their beliefs, that's almost always a dead end. So what's the alternative? Let's get into a really practical guide for having those tough conversations in a way that might actually open a door instead of slamming one shut. On one side, you've got a healthy community. It encourages questions, it supports people's choices, and, this is a big one, it allows people to leave without being punished or shunned. But on the other side, you have a high control group that shuts down doubt, demands total obedience, and basically traps its members. The difference is night and day, and it really all comes down to freedom. So here's the playbook, and your goal is not to win an argument. It's not to deprogram them. It is simply to be a safe person in their life. Be curious, not judgmental. Ask about their life, their experiences. You can gently let them know that it's okay and totally human to have doubts sometimes. And always, always end the conversation warmly. You want to be the one person in their life who quietly proves that the hostile outsider they've been warned about just isn't real. This is your secret weapon, a simple sentence like this. Because when you treat someone with dignity, especially when you disagree, you are modeling a completely different way of being. It's like a quiet little rebellion against the group's control, and honestly, it is so much more powerful than any fact or argument you could ever throw at them. So, what's the endgame here? Look, this isn't about a quick fix or some dramatic Hollywood rescue. This is about playing the long game. Let's talk about what you can realistically hope for from these conversations and what the true goal really ought to be. You're not going to change their entire worldview in one 5-minute chat. Your goal is so much simpler and yet so much more profound. It's to be a small glitch in their matrix, to be that one kind, respectful person who doesn't fit the script. All you're doing is planting a tiny seed, not a seed of doubt in their faith, but a seed of doubt in their fear. And you might never even see that seed grow, but you're giving them a reason to question. And that is everything. So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? This isn't just about understanding these specific groups. It's about learning how to be a more effective and more compassionate human being. How can we be critical thinkers without being condescending? How can we offer a better way, a way of kindness, respect, and genuine connection to people who might be trapped in a world of fear?